how many of us have been tuning into the news to find out what the heck is going on in California? And nobody's talking about what's going on in California, but there's like fires going on. There's like rolling blackouts. We see on Twitter, you got to see on Twitter, people just making random comments. There's a recall of the governor. Like, oh my gosh, finally, really? Well, I have to tell you, I have a super activist on my list of friends, somebody who I have crossed paths with a number of times. I haven't met her in person, but I see her posts. She's constantly busy. She was constantly busy in 2015 for President Trump. Then she was even in the movie Trump at War that Steve Bannon made. There was a little vignette of her in there, and I had to call her and say, "Oh my gosh, I just saw you in Steve Bannon's movie. Like, you're everywhere. You're everywhere." This is a super activist, and I wanted her to come on so she could tell us what's going on in California, which is where she's from. And I want to talk to her and find out, how does she stay motivated? This woman, I bet you half of you are going to recognize her. You might even be friends with her somewhere. Susan Walsh.
Hi, Carrie. How are you?
Susan, I am very well, thank you. Welcome to Patriot Soapbox.
Thank you for having me tonight. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited that you can make it, because I think you're the only person who's going to be able to explain to us what is going on. I see that you have the poster behind you, Recall Newsom. Now, Susan, you've been posting. You even make these awesome lives explaining it. I hope that you don't mind going over it again, because I watch them, but I don't really understand. So I'm going to give you the platform. Can you just tell us what the heck is going on with Recall Newsom?
Okay. So basically, there's many people, and as you know, Gavin Newsom, his sole purpose, he wants to run for 2024 for the presidential campaign. And so that is what he consumes his time with here in California, is trolling Trump. Meanwhile, we are hurting here in California. Our homeless is an epidemic rate here. I mean, I can tell you all the different things that he's just signing executive orders here that he's doing. And there's so many people that have absolutely had enough and are fed up.
How many people there are a lot of people who are upset with Newsom. How many people do you need to get on your petitions, and how many do you have?
Okay, so at this time, we're shooting for, we need a clean 1.5 million signatures by the deadline of February 13th, 2020. That is the deadline. They don't make a recall very easy here in the state of California, and for good measure. But so right now, we are exceeding our expectations. Now, there has been a setback in that we've had power outages. And in my town, we were out for 4 days. So I'm sitting on lots of signed recall petitions that I need to turn into our election office. But because the power has been out, I haven't had time to do it. And there's many other counties in the state of California that haven't been able to have their election office open to turn in these signed petitions. This recall has caught on fire here in California, and I'm so excited to be a part of it, in a sense that, you know, people are grassroots. I mean, mom and pops. And I can tell you how many Democrats yesterday, I had 3 Democrats actually change their party preference because they've had enough. And they actually registered as GOP. They've had absolutely enough of Gavin Newsom.
Susan, that's incredible. I saw you post that, and I thought, you know, if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Susan. So I think I fixed my internet issue. Sorry about that, everyone. And I got my mic thing taken care of. So sorry about that. But so you have until February 13th. So if anybody's listening, how can people help you who are in if people have to be in California, right, to help get the signatures? Okay.
So number one, if you live in California and you need to go to recallgavinnow.com. And I'm going to say it again, recallgavinnow.com. And you can get the petitions there. And there's also a petition location tool on the internet site where you can find out where in your area that they're having, signings. Many gun stores and great businesses. And it's funny that the businesses that I know, they've actually gotten so much business coming to their store, just to sign this recall for Gavin Newsom. It's pretty amazing. So if you go to recallgavinnow.com, that is where you can search, and you can find the petition location signing area or place in your area. And it's statewide. So there's a map. So make sure you zoom into the map and you will find people that are doing pop-ups, which might be a 1-day, 4-hour location, or a business that actually has it in its store, provided their store hours is than when they're open. So that's 2 ways to do it. The other thing too, and I really want to talk to the people that are nationwide, because look at, in California, these politicians are bred and they're coming out of California. Now, we already know Gavin Newsom wants to be president. That's all he's got his eyes set on. So you don't want him to become your problem. So if you cannot be in California, you can help us by donating to the recallgavinnow.com. And that just gives us more money to empower us to sit there and make this happen. I mean, it's a short amount of time that we need these signatures, but there are so many people, and I'm so excited that the energy is there and people are connecting. And the beautiful thing that I'd like to point out, there was Gray Davis, and he got recalled, okay? But the difference between the Gray Davis recall in 2003 and now was, one, that there was a lot of money behind the Gray Davis recall in California. And so people didn't have social media, or definitely wasn't much around, and not a lot of people were very familiar with it or technologically savvy with it. The beautiful thing is, with Gray Davis, he had rolling blackouts, just like Gavin Newsom's having right now in California. Oh. And it's kind of like karma is a beautiful thing. And it's like, it's good and bad. And it's like, we haven't had power for like 4 days, and there's so many horrific stories. Like, that could be its own session to talk about on its own thing. But I see this, so many people are fed up and they've had enough, and they're literally walking away from the Democratic Party in California. Absolutely. And I've had people come to the booth and say, what, I don't like Trump, but I can't stand that guy more. So where do I sign?
Right.
I mean, that's happened. And it's like, here you go,
What do you think? What is it about Newsom that people dislike the most from what you can tell in general?
Okay. So from a woman's standpoint, he's very narcissistic. Women don't like that. They pick on, women are really good and faceted and multi-detailed, that kind of thing. They don't like his look. He's so, he thinks he's gotten away with his looks for so long. And that's just kind of like a superficial thing. And I'll digress back to real policy here in California. So it was SB 276, which basically used to be, now I am not anti-vaccine, but I'm about giving parents and the doctors the ultimate decision about vaccinations for each child. When he repealed that SB 276, there's a lot of young mothers and fathers out there that have had absolutely enough of this, because basically he's taken away their right as a parent. And so instead of the doctor and the parent deciding who gets an exemption here in California for a particular shot, it's going to go to the county health department, and they will review the records and decide if that child gets a shot or not. And so that's one thing, that's parental rights. So for the younger mothers out there and the fathers, they've had enough of that. They don't like that one. And that's been a really one that people are coming up to the booth and they're livid over that one. 2, the death penalty. We voted to sit there and have the death penalty in place, and we wanted death penalties to happen. And so there is, I believe it's 767 people on death row that, since he signed that executive order, now they get a stay. And there's some horrific people. And I understand that with the death penalty, I mean, sure, some of these people, I mean, when you get to the stage, the sentencing, and you have families that are victims of these families, and some of these stories are so horrific, I can't even share with you, if you read the details of the cases, how egregious this is. And so he basically said, you know what, in the greater good of Californians, he's going to sit there and stave off the death penalty. And that one's not sitting well here at all. So that's another one. I mean, there's just so much. I mean,
there's so much. There is something troublesome to me about his looks. And I don't usually like to I don't like to judge people on their looks. I don't find him attractive, but to me, he gives off this air of narcissism that I've identified in toxic relationships in my own life. And it's very, very problematic. And I like what you said there. You don't want him to be your problem. No, I don't want him to be my problem. I've had enough of politicians who have a narcissist streak. And we all know that that's really what we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
The deep state and the Hillarys, and, they all have some personality disorders because they can't possibly consider putting other people before themselves. The vaccine thing, Susan, I'm with you. I have my own beliefs about the vaccines, which aren't always very popular. But what I do believe is that it's my decision as a parent.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. And so I can get behind that one 100%. I don't like the way that they're sort of weaponizing medicine and this authoritarian domination and control over our lives. So Newsom to me is like very, very creepy. And he, again, I don't want to put anybody's looks down. He, to me, looks very creepy and sinister. So I don't want to look at him. I don't. And I'm a woman. Yeah, you're right. I don't. There's something about that. I don't like it. So, but policy-wise, I want to see him go. And he is constantly out there berating President Trump.
Yeah, and also, too, the homeless is epidemic. I mean, the Democrats here in California have weaponized homelessness. And this money gets given to nonprofits and that kind of thing. And it's only getting worse. It's not getting better. I mean, and there's things like that where people, it used to be in the big cities and now it's in Stockton and it's in, San Jose and Oakland and Berkeley and Los Angeles. And we're looking at bubonic plague and legion, leprosy and hepatitis C. And I mean, it's frightening. It's frightening.
Yeah. I lived in Los Angeles for a while. I lived in Los Angeles. I lived in Huntington Beach. I lived in Hollywood. I worked right on Hollywood Boulevard in a bank there doing, I worked with developmentally disabled adults doing job developing, right across from the McDonald's up in the old bank there. And so I know the area well. California should be our jewel. Right. It is a beautiful, gorgeous state. And the Democrats and their progressive communist policies have destroyed a beautiful state for tourism, a beautiful state for agriculture. There's so much that we should be getting, even, gold in Hollywood. I remember talking to Griffin O'Neill. He's Ryan O'Neill's son, and about the golden days of Hollywood in Los Angeles. And why can't we have California back again? I want California back again. I don't want to just cut it off and let it go off in the ocean. I want to keep it. So I want to get rid of Newsom. Yeah. And what can people do who are not in California? What can we do to help you?
Okay, so a couple things that come to the top of my mind. If you're not in California, I would sit there and say, help tweet Trump and the administration and show that the RANF group right here, the recallnewsomnow.com, Restoring America Now, RAN, that group is the one that are making things happen here in California. They're bringing over so many Democrats, independents, declined the states out of the clutches of the Democrat Party, and we could use help with it. That's number one. Number two, you don't want this guy becoming your problem, because Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi, and Gavin Newsom, and all these swamp creatures that are giving you so much heck, they're causing so much drama and problems in D.C., they come from California. So now you have a choice, and I'd say that there's three C's in life. So you can take a choice. It's a choice, change, and sorry, I'm screwing this up. It's choice, chance, and change. You must make the choice to take the chance if you want anything to change. And now we have an opportunity to sit there and get this guy out. Okay. Because trust me, you don't want him running anything to do nationally, because this guy's an epic failure. But you have that opportunity, and we're asking you for money. That would be great to help us get this word out, because we only have until February 13th, 2020 to get at least 1.5 million signatures. But ideally, we actually need more than that, because of if there's mistakes or people have problems. So
right.
if I had
to throw your ballot, sorry.
Yeah. So if I had a magic
wand,
if I had a magic wand, I would ask for 2.5 million signatures. Okay. Yeah. But all we need is every California Trump voter to sign this particular recall petition, and we're there. That's it. Think about that one.
So we can do that. We can get on our social media.
Yes.
We can tell people, hey, if you have relatives in California, if you have friends in California, any connections, go and find this group, Recall Newsom, get going. You need to make sure President Trump knows that you all have been out there and being very active, because maybe they'll be able to help get you some resources. I don't know if they can or not, if that's legal or what, but at least they'll know that you're out there, right?
We're out there on the we're boots on the ground every day, and it's recallgavinnow.com. Recallgavinnow.com. It's very important. There's another group out there and they do not have the ground game. And so we just trying to sit there and point you to the right direction. So it's recallgavinnow.com. That's where you go.
Recallgavinnow.com, y'all. We're going to, and there's somebody saying, Carrie, ask her about the doctor in La Jolla.
Oh, boy.
His petition is not the same. Is it?
Okay, so we'll go to the doctor. So Dr. V, he is the one. So Erin Cruz was originally the one to sit there, and she was the one who actually had this petition in the pipeline before Dr. V, okay? So the difference between the two is that Erin had this petition only has on it, it's got the page for 3. It's on legal size. It's got to be on legal size, so you know you signed the right one. You can sign the petition for 3 people. You know, this is how it is. So the reason why she did that is that people from the privacy of their home, suppose they didn't want to sit there and, you know, they wanted to sit there and go to the actual site, print off a petition, read the instructions, and mail it back in to the organization, and they could do that, okay? So it kind of gives you some privacy. Dr. V has another thing. It's got like 20 signatures. They're trying to say that, you know, that this petition isn't valid, and that's not true. It's approved by the Secretary of State, and there's hundreds of thousands that are coming in now, this petition. And they feel that their strongest thing that they say is that this can't be done, that they have to hire professional signature gatherers, okay?
Wait a minute. That sounds like cronyism to me. I'm sorry to jump in.
Yeah.
Hold on. Right. Okay. I don't know who this person is, and I don't know anything about the controversy, but I'll tell you something. Susan has been involved in a number of different groups doing all kinds of hard work. She's got a lot of credibility in the out in California politics. So I would tend to go with Susan on this. I know that whatever she gets behind is legal. If somebody's saying that they need to have a professional, that sounds like they're trying to get hired for a job.
Well,
am I right? I don't even know.
Yeah, well, here's the thing is, like, a lot of times they're trying to sit there and tell people that professional signature gatherers would not use this petition. And it's like, that's a lie. Professional signature gatherers get paid by the signature. And so it doesn't matter if there's one signature on one page, they get paid, you know? So it's kind of like, I don't know what's going on over there. I'm not feeling that. There's some situations with them I'm not quite happy with, but I know Erin Cruz and her heart, and I know what the ground game is. I mean, we've got people in Kern County waiting 2 hours in line to sit there and sign this petition. It's gone viral.
That's incredible.
People are in line. They're patiently waiting. I mean, they're just so excited. Some people are just like practically want to hug you, but it's this petition that's got the ground game. It's not, you know, and like I said, I think the difference that I know, because I did the Davis campaign way back in the day in 2003. We weren't tech savvy. We didn't have a grassroots ground game on social media. We didn't have, we didn't have those capabilities, but we do now. Fast forward. We don't need consultants. We put this back in the people's petition as this one. This is the people's petition.
I think we like that here. Patriot Soapbox. We like the people's petition because whenever you get this political class of consultants, and Susan, you worked on a number of campaigns, and I have, and I know people in chat have as well. When you get the political consultant class in, they don't always necessarily know what they're talking about, but they sure know how to talk themselves into getting paid to do something.
Right.
Where the people are just trying to get the job done, and so I think that. Right. Well, hopefully whatever happens, you'll combine, but you keep going, Susan, and I'm going to get behind you because I know you and I know that your work is excellent. Your activism is excellent. And you were even in Steve Bannon's movie. I think I told you.
You did.
One of my students. Yeah. I called you right away and I said, Susan, or I sent you a note or something. I said, Susan, oh my gosh, you're in Steve Bannon's movie. And, I call myself Steve Bannon fangirl. I think, were you in my Steve Bannon fangirl for a while too?
Yeah, I was excited. I couldn't believe that either. Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
I would have been excited to have it. So Susan is very well known in the activist circles, and I'm really glad that you're here today to share some of your enthusiasm. Can we shift gears just for a second? Then we can come back and talk some about this. But I wanted for you to tell people, when you said there are people walking away from the Democrat Party in California, you actually used to be a Democrat.
Yes. So I was a frothy Democrat all of my life. My dad was a teacher. I was indoctrinated to learn, that Democrats were all about the working party, that kind of thing. And I even worked on Obama's first campaign, and I bought it hook, line, and sinker. However, when I was a social worker during the when Obama's administration, so many people were losing their homes or needed to get EBT, or they needed, have to turn their lights on and that kind of thing. I mean, it was crazy how horrific that administration was. And it's like, I cannot believe I was part of this. And boy, I used to be, I would literally probably have been like the Yvette Flarka back in the day if you had known me. I mean, there was nothing you could have said. I would have been wearing pink, the pink hat and everything. But those were the worst years. And so many people suffered under the Obama administration as a social worker that I witnessed, veterans, middle class, working class. I mean, it was horrible. And so when Trump came on board, I'm like, you know what? What do we got to lose? Literally, what do we got to lose? And so I went out and registered like 2,000 people into the Republican Party, because a lot of people don't know that in the primaries for the GOP, you have to vote. You have to register as a Republican to vote for that candidate. So many people in California just assumed in a primary they could vote for whomever that they wanted. That's not the case. So when people give them the information, if you do like Trump and you want to vote for him, you have to register as a GOP, as a conservative, Republican in California. And boy, that stuck. And so, it's been a crazy journey this last 3 years. And, but so many people are walking away, especially from Gavin Newsom. I mean, you just have to sit there and go walk in the streets of California. I mean, it's really bad. It's like, the needles, the feces, it's as bad as what you see on Fox News. They keep it cleaned around certain areas, but I can tell you Union Square, which is a bunch of, hoity-toity, Saks Fifth Avenue, Bloomingdale's, Nordstrom's, blah, 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 all there. Actually, not Nordstrom's, I don't think. But anyway, at 5 o'clock rolls around and all of a sudden the camping gear comes out and the tents and everything else. I mean, they literally are ruining California as we speak. And it's city by city by city. So people have had enough. And I've had teachers that come up to me and say, I'm a teacher and I can't stand this, because he's done other things with the teachers that are upsetting. If you have an unruly child in your classroom, there's no more that you can sit there and, suspend them or put them into a different, what's the word I'm looking for? It starts with the.
Well, we had a guest on a couple of weeks ago, Marvina Case. Anybody can go and look her up. Her daughter, well, this is in Texas, but it's the same situation, which is her daughter was attacked by a kid who should have been in what we call special education.
Yes.
But because of mainstreaming everyone, they have no special education, so they put them in with all of the other kids. The little girl was attacked in the mouth, and the school covered up and said that the mother didn't have any rights, even though they on tape admitted, we can't protect your child. And so that is happening in a lot of these liberal states. It's a policy that was started with Eric Holder. Eric Holder actually sued North Carolina over this. But you can't reprimand children. And in liberal states like California, I'm sure that it's completely out of control, with Newsom leading the charge for making the case that children shouldn't be disciplined in school. It's very frightening because special ed children need boundaries. They need people to explain appropriate behavior. And when you stick them in a situation where they have free reign, it's absolutely terrifying for them. I was a social worker and I worked with developmentally disabled adults, like I said, in Hollywood. And I know that you have to give them boundaries. You have to tell them these are the safety rails. Don't go over, or they go over the safety rails and they get hurt. They hurt themselves.
Right.
Need those boundaries. But for some reason, progressive communist Democrats think, oh, you're not supposed to, put any sort of boundaries or barriers on anyone for any reason whatsoever. And I personally think it's because they love chaos. And that's why I left the Democrat Party. When I was in social work and I looked around and I said, oh, wait a minute, y'all are a bunch of communists. I was working for a Democratic congressman, and Jesse Jackson. And I said, y'all are a bunch of communists. If you want chaos so much, and I want law and order, and how did I end up here? Right? And so I walked away a long time ago. But that's what Gavin Newsom is to me. It's chaos. You're right. I do not want him as my problem.
No, you don't. Trust me, you guys, you don't. And this is like the Ivy League in California where they become everybody's problem. And his main focus is to become president, to get in 2024. And we need your help to snuff him out. Plus this sends a message that across the nation, you know what, we've had enough. I'm sick of being the laughing stock of the nation. There's plenty of people like me. And if we snuff him out now, I mean, that is going to make the Democrats sit there and think twice about what they're doing, because they've been able to sit there and just run buckshot over everybody here in California.
Right. It's time. Something has to happen. You have to seek a balance over there in California. It just got to happen. So
you do.
Sends a message with Gavin Newsom, would send a message. People come in off that leftist ledge. You have got to pull back over here. The country is not even California, the land of fruits and nuts. We love you. I love it. The land of fruits and nuts, right? No, they're not even, y'all aren't even that crazy. What's happened is, and I know this for a fact when I was in social work there, and I got laid off from one job because that's just kind of what happens as a social worker, right?
Yeah.
I had to have Spanish. I was like at the time going, why should I have to speak Spanish? I'm an American. I couldn't speak Spanish. And that was a problem back then, many years ago in California, and it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. Now you are like the doormat for the country, for the world, for the third world. And you're an American state. So all Americans should be saying, we love our fruits and nuts. We want California back because it's a beautiful state. There are smart people there. It has so much to offer. So I want to rescue California.
Yes.
And I'm sorry that you feel like it's the laughing stock of the country.
Well, I do. I mean, on social media, people are like, oh, screw California. You know, like, hey, guys, guess what? This is their testing grounds. And if they get it down here, they're going to roll it out over you. And I know you guys think that you guys can handle this. But if you have so many people on that team and in place, and this guy gets in and Pelosi opened the door for him, and I mean, it's ugly. I mean, I'm sorry. The nenext thing that we have to do then is we have to get President Trump to come out there and have a rally, because that will set a tone. I just want to see him have a rally in California. Yeah, I mean, that's so many. Believe me, so many want to see that, and it'd be so amazing. And there's so many people, and there are people that I know all the time that are, there's so many decline the states here, but they're actually conservatives in California. And that is like our number one is decline the states, and it's Democrats, because the people have been like, they haven't had good leadership here in California. So they've kind of given up. It's kind of sad. So yes, having Trump come to do a rally would be magnificent. Would be magnificent. There's plenty of places he could do it. And I'm telling you, it'd be outstanding. So I really hope that, I mean, they don't really kind of need us because like they give up on us, but the
electoral votes.
I know.
I want to get in there and start fighting for it. So how about February 14th? We start getting a petition together to ask President Trump, go to California, get those people turned around.
Yeah, we're talking about ratings. Hey, Trump, come to California. You're going to see ratings. Like people are going to come out of the woodwork to support you because they love you. And I walk amongst them, and there's Democrats and everybody else that love him. But, so we have to sit there and look, and we have to sit there and focus. And our focus right now is to get this swamp thing out of our swamp. And you don't want to get the swamp right here. This mouth breather, this guy's got to go. We need help.
Look at that. Look how focused she is. I was trying to take her down a rabbit hole and talking about something else. And she's like, okay, wait a minute. I got to get back on my recall. That's what I mean about Susan. She's a fantastic activist. Susan, what else are you working on right now? This, is a lot.
This is a lot because it's a short. It's like they give you 160 days to sit there and, gather, little less than 2.5 million signatures to make it right. So I'm focusing on this. People go, well, who's going to vote in this? Who's going to? Once it happens, it's like I don't look at that. I keep my eye on the prize. This guy, get him out. February 13th. Trust me. You want to ruin this guy's day? When he gets a recall, oh my goodness, this narcissist is going to lose himself because he can't believe it. And I'll tell you why it's bothering him, because recently on YouTube, he's starting to pay for ad sponsorship about a bill for California homeownership. And so he can pretend like he's not worried about it. Not one, but two recalls going on. So how telling is that? But he's actually paying now ads to sit there and, to try to sit there and to work people over. It's kind of funny, all these ads that are coming up for pro Gavin, but the people aren't biting it. I mean, we're having like lines. I can't tell you. It's amazing. People are lining up for hours. If you look at Kern County, Bakersfield, Fresno, Tulare, I had a line yesterday. There was 10 people in line. They're patiently in line. And I had 3 people, said, I've had enough. I voted all my life as a Democrat and I've had enough. I can't stand California. And so I happened to have 2 walkaway bracelets on me. And I sit there and took them off and I said, you know what? Welcome. And I gave my walkaway bracelet and I said, absolutely, so glad you're here. If any questions, gave my card, call me. I'm here to support you. Because it's kind of like, when you leave that indoctrination, there's a price to pay in a sense with friends, relationships, family, that kind of thing. But if there's people that are amazing people that you will meet that are so supportive and will help you and work you through leaving the party. So anyways.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We have to be welcoming to the ones who finally wake up and come over to our side.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because most of the people that I know who are very fired up, very motivated activists were at one time Democrats.
They trained us well. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
They trained me well.
Yeah.
But we had a tendency to stick together. The Republican Party, that gets a little squirrely. They really need to work on that. But anyways, it doesn't matter.
We'll take that after President Trump is reelected. We'll take over the Republican Party and get them all worked out. We'll get them all straightened out. That will happen later. But we got to stay focused on, like you said, getting rid of Gavin. Recall Gavin. Now.com. This is Susan Walsh who's speaking. And if you're in California, go to her Facebook page. If you're in California, go sign up with her and help her out. If you have some extra money, send it over to them. If you have a way of promoting this on your social media, let people know that this thing is going on so it finally gets into the stream of someone in California who has the chance to sign it. I like that, what you said. We must take the chance to make.
You must make the 3 C's in life where you have to make choice, chance, and change.
Okay.
So you must make the choice to take the chance if you want anything to change.
Oh, that's good. That's a good one. That's a good activist motto.
So, yeah.
I don't want to take you off of Gavin. But listen, what the heck is going on with all these rolling blackouts?
Jeez Louise. Okay.
4 days you were without power?
Yeah, so that's a whole hour show, but basically I'll give you some snippets that I've learned in the last week or so. So number one, Gavin Newsom took in $208,000 for his election campaign from PG&E. PG&E had issues with San Bruno. There's 8 people PG&E is like a running a nightmare. They need to be, power. They own the monopoly of the power in California, and Newsom and the Dems that have been in control haven't properly managed the forest. Because it's like, if you have a garden, okay, you pull out the weeds and you sit there and you tend to it and you get rid of so that basically is the fuel for your garden. But in California, they've let the forest go to, and it's combustible fuel. It's just gasoline in forests for so long. So there's a great reporter here in California. His name is Brandon Rittman, and he's done extensive work about PG&E, and he's educated me a lot about this problem here in California with the power outages. And PG&E is actually, they're felons. I mean, they actually lied to they lied to federal investigators about the fires and stuff. So they've got a huge, they are just as bad as what you think, but they pay off the politicians. And there's many politicians, Democratic and Republican, here in California that took their money, and just a few that turned it back once they realized it. So you always need to follow the money with politicians. And I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, whatever, follow the money. But I'm going to sit there and jump forward to, I was talking to some people, some guys that came in and they were in a restaurant, and I could tell they weren't from around here and they were from Tennessee. And so I started talking, were you here for the blackout or the brownouts, or I call them the Newsom outs here in California? They said, yes. And so it turns out that they were linemen. And so I said, so you're here for just this week? And they're like, oh no, PG&E is paying us ridiculous amounts of money to come check the transformers here in California. All the transformers in California that PG&E has needs to be checked. And I said, okay. And I'm like, is that like a 1 week window, a month, a 6 month thing? They're like, no, they moved the families out here, and they could not leave the money, the ridiculous amounts of money that they're coming from Tennessee and out of states that PG&E is paying them, relocating them here to sit there and check our transformers. So I asked the guys, I said, is this like a Band-Aid? Is this going to solve the problem? You guys are flying in from different, areas of the state, and you're going to check them and we're good? And they're like, oh no, this is just a Band-Aid. This is just a Band-Aid. And I said, so this is not going to be the solution to this problem with the equipment that PG&E has? And I said, absolutely not. No way. So more money being thrown away here in California. Yeah. That
right.
Blew me away.
And I did, I interviewed this week. I interviewed, Coy Griffin, who's a commissioner in New Mexico. Mm-hmm. And he was on the show, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about fuel loads and how the President Trump had actually met with him and was helping him with forestry issues because they had closed the forest down in New Mexico. Well, he was calling them fuel loads.
Yeah, that's correct.
Remove the fuel loads, and so we could be very well having these fires. It was before I had heard that California was having problems again. And so I know that President Trump has it on his mind that there's this environmental movement, which is, of course, led by the Democrats, and they put tons of money into these politicians' pockets, and that the environmentalist movements want the areas where they could get fuel, too, by the way. So it's an anti-fracking thing.
Right.
In Mexico, I don't know about in California, but he was saying that when you close the forest, you can't go remove those fuel loads. And so that's when I saw the fires, I thought, it's the fuel loads because they can't remove the brush, right?
Right.
So,
yeah. Yeah, it's really bad. And so I'm hearing that on the 21st, we're going to have another series of blackouts, okay, or Newsom outs. That's what I call them, because that's what's happening. So you understand, too, Carrie, is that the PG&E website went down. So this kind of was taking people in California by surprise here. And then when the local news picked up on it, go to PG&E's website to find out when you're going to be cut, and their website crashed. Okay. Their website crashed. So you have people that are dependent on oxygen and, that they need electricity for, insulin, you name it. Right. And once again, Gavin Newsom, and, this should be a priority. I don't even understand. Don't get me started. Oh, goodness. Don't get me started. This should be a priority. If you were running the state of California, sit there and understand what the problems are. You sit there and keep the people safe. That's what I thought of right away was, what about the poor people who this idea, we'll just roll out the electricity here and there. And what about the people who really need it, who are using it for some sort of, medical something? I have to be honest. I lose it when my electricity goes out. I don't like it. I don't like not having my option of turning my lights on, using my phone, being connected to my children who are in different places. So this is very troubling to me to think of your suffering. Really, I think that you're suffering whenever I hear rollouts, and now you're telling me it's going to go on. Oh my gosh. So like a rollout, I could sit there and see 4 hours. Okay. Carrie, this was 5 days, 4 and 5 days. People had to throw. Now, let me tell you, it costs a lot of money to live here in California to pay the gas prices that are now reaching $6 a gallon. And your food is precious. But people cannot sit there. Working people, Democrats, about the working people have, their livelihoods are in their freezer or in their refrigerator. And 4 days of food spoiled. Now what? And then Newsom sits there and pretends like at a press conference, he said last couple of days ago, well, save your receipts, something that can be done with that PG&E might pay for that. And then 2 hours later, PG&E's like, oh no, we're not paying for this. So, I mean, are you kidding me? And meanwhile, the people in California are suffering. You do not want this guy. This guy needs to go. God forbid he gets in charge of national, issues. My God. I mean, this is
right.
critical that people go to recallgavinnow.com, because this is all he cares about. And you don't want to go 4 days. Food is so expensive here in California. Gas, people to live here in California, but for 4 and 5 days for the electricity to go down.
No, it's just
people, Democrats.
Yeah, no, it's just so unacceptable, and it's so much displays the attitude of, well, you're just the little people, and you just really don't matter that much, because I'm sure that he's not having any kinds of. They're not doing that in any of the areas where the wealthy elite people live. No.
So just for the record, Marin County, which is very falutin, Atherton, Palo Alto, Fair Oaks, where Gavin actually lives in the SMUD district, and that's a different electrical utility company. That's a good one. So those people did not have to go. So the people that are well off, that can easily afford to replenish their food stocks, none of their power was basically cut off. However, all the other people in California, and there's many of us from Central California to Northern California, I mean, all over, for days. I'm sorry, food goes bad after, 4 days. We have a problem here, but this guy thinks that, he's in the best interest of all of us, right? So why did Atherton and Palo Alto and, Marin, why did they get to keep their power on when they can surely afford to replace that food? It's ridiculous.
Right. They probably can afford generators and things like that, too.
Yeah.
And it's just throwing the poor people, the marginalized people to the dogs, because there's another problem out in California, which is that you all have been inundated with a lot of illegals.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of illegal voters. Mm-hmm. So your grids are overtaxed, and you're not getting the representation that you deserve, because your elections are being flooded with people who are looking to get things out of your pocket. That's how I see it. In California, there's a lot of illegal voting going on in California.
Absolutely. 100% correct. Absolutely.
They're voting to take resources out of your pocket. They're not looking for the same type of representation that Americans in California. So I'm very hopeful that we're going to get California back again. And I think of going to visit my grandparents out in the San Diego area back in the 80s. And it was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was even beautiful then. There's Coronado, I think, is just beautiful places. If I could go anywhere in the world, somebody said I could go anywhere in the world, I would go to Coronado, California. I love California. So I want California back. I want to restore California to American pride. And I think that there's a lot of things that are very frustrating about this. If the rolling blackouts were happening to everyone, and it seems like, well, everything else is going great, you might be able to deal with it. But on top of everything else that you've had to put up with over there, it's making me frustrated for you.
Yeah. I'm telling you, because like I said, this is we're literally like the socialism thing. We're here in California right now. We're already living it. You know what I mean? As far as these rolling blackouts, it didn't happen to the poor and the working class areas. It happened, it's happening. The rich folks were able to sit there and have their power on, and the poor people and the working class cut the power for 5 days, and all that food in their freezers are gone, refrigerators. And Gavin lied and said that, save your receipt. You may be able to sit there and, make a claim. Well, yeah. Then PG&E's like, no. We're not making the claim. I mean, I'm sick of this guy's lies. This guy lied.
Yeah, well, Gavin Newsom doesn't go to the grocery store and buy ground beef when it's on sale in bulk to save a few dollars, because he's got a bunch of kids to feed, and he's thinking about how he can save some in the freezer, so he'll buy a little extra. Gavin Newsom has never had that experience. You and I have had that experience, and the rest of the people that you're talking about have. So They've got food in their freezer that is an investment.
Exactly.
And people like Gavin Newsom, it doesn't mean anything, because they'll just go get something else. So they have chefs, which they know anything about how we live our lives. They're absolutely ridiculous clowns, and we need to get rid of all of them because they're not representing Americans, and Californians are not being represented by Pelosi, Maxine Waters.
Yeah, so we are top heavy here with Democratic legislators here in California. So it's really tough to sit there and, but we need, like, if the grassroots and the ground game comes through and gets this guy out, I'm telling you that there's hope again. This has to happen because otherwise, I mean, we're outnumbered here. But we need to sit there and have good leadership and make this happen. Get this happen. This is going to send a message across. This will go right to Trump. Oh my God, these people have recalled Gavin Newsom.
Right.
Trump, like, trolling Gavin. Geez, not one, but 2 recalls going in.
I would be so happy. Yeah, I would be so happy to see that for you because I know how much you would enjoy it.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I don't know how anybody can listen to you and not be infected with your enthusiasm and get excited to get some petitions, do whatever they can do, send you a donation, because all of this activism stuff does cost money. So,
and I don't get paid by anybody. I get paid zero. So it's out of my heart and my love for California that I do this.
Right. And I love California too. I love it with you. And I want to go and visit California again. I love Seal Beach.
Yeah.
I love California, right?
Beautiful.
I like that little, it's like a little surf box that somebody put up there, and it's got all these words that are carved out, and it's just like so beautiful, so California, so like surfer dude, we got to save California. We can do our part over here to help as much as we can. I'm asking the audience to make sure you send out that link, talk about it with people, make sure that anyone who's connected with California can get the word out. Help Susan. I mean, she's doing this out of just the love of California. How can you not love that? This is a great American patriotic woman. Hey, is there anything else you want to talk about? Do you want to tell me anything else about Gavin?
Well, let's see. Like, one thing I can sit there and say is that there was one guy that came up to one guy out of hundreds of people that signed the petition yesterday in Roseville, where I live, or right now, and because they have power anyway. So he actually said, "Well, tell me what this is all about." And he's like, "Well, convince me why I should sign your petition." I'm like, "No, you convince me why we should keep him."
Oh, good one.
End of discussion. Bye.
That's good. Now, is there any talk about who might run against him?
You know what? I can't. People send me that, and it's like, you know what? I don't look at. It's like I'm in a race. I'm in a race right now for my life, and I can't sit there and say, like, the last time Davis ran, last time a governor was recalled was Davis, and that was in 2003, and like 120 people quickly came out of the bushes to run. Okay, and there was a prostitute that ran, and you name it, everybody was. But the thing is, I don't see it like that. I look, this is a race, and we have to sit there and focus on our target. Get this swamp dweller out, number one, and then we'll look at that. And actually, once that happens, he can put his name back on the ballot. Can you imagine? This is great, though. He'd have to sit there and he can put his name back on the ballot legally, so he could rerun again. So it's crazy.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, yeah, you're right. Keep focused on getting him out.
Yeah.
And whoever comes behind, we'll worry about that later. But it would be good politically to let politicians know that there is that much movement with the people. That's always a good thing. They do actually care about that. It does affect them. I'm working on this thing, and I wonder if Gavin's a part of it. I'm trying to figure out this thing called C40 cities. And I found that Philadelphia, Boston, and Portland are all part of this C40 cities, which is a Mike Bloomberg initiative. And in 2 of those cities, they raised the communist flag. It's an article that I wrote. But I'm starting to see that there's a lot of basically Marxism, these ideas that they go over to Copenhagen and they learn about Marxism and they bring them back as world mayors. Now, I know that he's not a mayor, but I wonder if he's affiliated with that group, because it seems like there's a number of governors in liberal towns. I'm going to do a little research on him.
Please do. It sounds like you're onto something there.
Yeah, and it's this environmental sustainability stuff, basically, which is a Trojan horse, opening the door for even more socialism and more socialist policies. The mayor of London's involved in it too. So
great. There you go.
Right. I just feel like Gavin is in there somewhere. But my point being is they do still care about if the people rise up in huge numbers and do something, because we're a revolutionary system. We are rebellious people. That is what we do. And for so many years during Obama, people just sat back and said, okay, there's nothing that we can do.
Yeah.
Some people said, oh, it's not going to be that bad. And I was like lighting my hair on fire going, he's a communist. It's going to be a nightmare and we're never going to get it all cleaned up. But now here we are. And at least we have President Trump in office, which gives us some cover to get some things done. So we have to do it now. So no matter what happens, Susan, you're going to be successful. You got the people making noise is going to impact somebody somewhere, even if they've got their communist group that they're involved with, even if they're doing whatever, all the even ifs. The people have to rise up and say, we're not going to take it anymore. We're mad as heck and we're not going to take it anymore. And that's what Rebel Legends, the show is about. That's why you're here. I'm so glad that you can make it on today. I hope that, let's see, we'll have to have you come back a couple more times for February 13th.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I would love to and be honored and update you on the craziness of California. But do not give up on us. There's like
no way. I love California. I'm not giving up on California because like I said, is Seal Beach. I lived there and I had a little convertible. We drove from Los Angeles up to Monterey to the historic races in Monterey. What? I'm not giving that up. It's beautiful. There's nothing like it. Pebble Beach concourse and the auctions there in Napa Valley. And I could go on and on and on, right? Who doesn't love California?
Well, I would tell you, Carrie, that don't go to Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk now because the homeless have taken up residence on the beach boardwalk there. And the city doesn't have the means to sit there and kick them off. So it's just, worse.
I mean, on one hand, I'm kind of a groovy granola bohemian. I love the idea of being homeless and living on the beach. On the other hand, I don't like the things that go with being homeless. Needles. I don't like that we don't have any restroom facilities.
Yes.
That's germs. I'm a mom. I want things clean and tidy and orderly. And I don't want my children stepping on needles. So no, I agree. That's a problem.
It's a huge problem, especially in the beach, in the sand. So.
Right. And that's a huge part of your tourism and that's affecting people's jobs.
Yeah. It's really bad. It's really bad.
Have you heard anything about that? Like how much has the homeless problem affected tourism? I'd have to think there's some.
Yeah. So the number one restaurant industry. So the restaurant industry, it's like the restaurant national industry food show usually is in San Francisco every year. And they actually canceled last year. And I believe they canceled, which was a big money maker for San Francisco. And they actually canceled the last year. And now I believe they're canceling this year too, because their people don't want to come to San Francisco. I mean, the word is out. They don't want to deal with this. You shouldn't have to see a grown man grunting in the streets, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon while you've got your grandkids in tow or whatever. I mean, it gets old. So yeah, they've lost a lot of money tourism wise. And it's out of control. So yeah, I mean, they're going to figure it out. You don't want to come into your town. Let me tell you, it's not pretty. No. We're fighting like hell here to sit there and take it back.
Yeah. And I want to fight with you. I want to join you.
Too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we have about 7 minutes left until the next show comes on. Is there anything else that you want to, anything else you want to talk about?
I think that's it. I think I don't give up on California. I just like to get Trump, to sit there and understand that he could troll Gavin so well with this, with this recall, and the numbers are coming in. I mean, the people that are doing, and people are so, they're filling out the petitions correctly when they're coming in all over the state. So, people think, oh, you have to have a professional, petition gatherer. Guess what? You don't, because people, when they're hurt, when they are down and they are, they want hope back, they're making sure those signatures are correct, giving the correct information. They look amazing what's coming in to us. So I'm extremely proud of what's going on here in California with the petition gatherers, and they're coast to coast, statewide. We're all over the place. But my thing is, I would say something is that if you're going to run for governor, okay, then you better be in this game helping, okay? Because we're not doing all this hard work on our own. To sit there and come on once we get this guy out, and then all of a sudden you're here for us. If you want to get in this game, you better get in now. better get now and make yourself known to help us.
Oh, that's a great point.
True.
Yeah. Whoever's out there who's thinking of running for governor, get your patoot out and help the people and do the work. Do the grassroots work. So many times I've been in a battle with the NCGOP here for, 10 years on this topic, is that the elite office holders, many of them, not all of them, because some of them are excellent people, many of them just don't want to get their hands dirty with the little people. Mm. That would be the little people who go and drive their car all over the country out of their own finances, do the legwork of knocking on the door, get the petition signed, do all of the hard work, do the research, do the printing, get babysitters to make sure that they can get to meetings to organize, do all of the things. And there are many activists who are paying for things out of their own pocket.
Yes.
And then an office holder or an office seeker will come along and somehow try to capitalize on it. Mm-hmm. And it's about time that in America, California is our fight too, because that's an American state. These are American people that we're talking about. It is time for all Americans to say, let me help lift that load a little bit. Yeah. Let me help with that burden. And many of us don't have money, but we have other things. We have mouths. We can have hands. We can do something. So whoever's listening, there is a way for you to help to save one of the greatest states in the country, which is California, who has taken a beating for decades now. We have to rescue it. It's like, let's level up in this cyber game. Pretend like it's a video game where we're going to go rescue California, right? And put the jewel back in the king's crown. Because that's what California is.
Yeah.
And it's about America. These are people, the power to the people. We are a populist country. And the elite, no, they have had their run. They've had a really good long run, Susan. They've got lots and lots of money. It is time for them to step aside and let us we all should be wealthy. We all should be living in peace and safety and enjoying beaches and the beautiful things that God has given us in this country, not just the elite. I'll get up on my soapbox.
Yeah. Well, like I said, in San Francisco, it's been since I think the last Republican governor they had in San Francisco was 1952. And I remember, I've never seen San Francisco since the Democrats now have ruined San Francisco. But think about that. Is it always good to have the one party in place? The only Republican governor or mayor in San Francisco has been since 1952. Think about that. And everybody else is all Democrat in San Francisco. And you look at Stockton and you look at these cities and it's all Democrat. And look what's happening to them. And they hate it when you bring it up to them about the homeless. They're like, oh, it's not our problem. We didn't do that. Oh, that's the one that really sinks them down. So have at them.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, I had someone on from New Mexico who convinced me that that's another one of our should be one of our very well-respected and well-loved states, New Mexico, with all of its resources. California is another one. These are our forgotten states. We have to get in, and we have to make sure that we're protecting our country, again, from the leftist indoctrination and community organizing and nonsense that they do, because it's headed for us at some point if we let them get away with it there. Susan, thank you so much for taking this time, because I know you're busy and you had to take time out of your petition gathering to do this.
Oh, no, Carrie, for you, anytime you reach me and I'll make it happen. So absolutely. Thank you.
You're a rock star. I'm going to have to come back another time whenever you get an update for us. We're going to get you back here again and get the word out.
Yes. Thank you very much again. And definitely, again, recallgavinnow.com. Thank you, Carrie.
Recallgavinnow.com. Love you. Susan, big hugs.
Big hugs. Yay.
Yay. Yay. Thanks again. All right, everyone. So that's awesome. Awesome. Susan Walsh. Find her on Facebook. I don't know how anybody could even listen to her for a minute and not be infected again with her enthusiasm. She just loves California. She's constantly working on different campaigns. You're probably going to see her, again, whoever decides to run against Newsom. She's always out there. Please support her if you can. Recallgavinnow.com.